Hi guys, welcome back to Amalgamated Wah, and welcome to episode 4 of creating my ideal Smash Brothers game, and part 2 of creating the classic mode runs. If you didn't see part 1, here's how we'll be doing this. The roster is made using only games I knew about outside of Smash Ultimate, and each character will get a classic mode run with 5 regular battles and a boss battle, depending on their run's theme. With that out of the way, let's roll the intro. Starting us off are the Ice Climbers, whose run carries over from Smash Ultimate, fighting 2 characters who work together in their series. They'll fight Fireboy and Water Girl, Even and Dicey, Tails and Sonic, Bub and Bob, Mario and Luigi, and a boss fight against the Stanislav Lem robot. Next is Little Mac, with his run entitled Pulling No Punches. He will fight characters who could put up with a bit of a beating, being Samus, Link, Gorgo, Pit, Simon, and the boss of the Trudge. Villager's run is titled Join My Island, where they will fight characters that are animals to represent the many residents that can come to your island in Animal Crossing New Horizons. Queuing up against Donkey Kong, Duck Hunt, King Dedede, Sonic and Tails, Mewtwo Malamar, and a boss of Kraid. Isabel's run is titled Small But Mighty, facing off against Cubert, Meryl, Even and Dicey, Kirby, Bub, and the Stanislav Lev robot, with his original form being quite small. Blather's run has him facing characters who represent things you might find in a museum. Blathers will fight Medusa, Yoshi, Bob, Gorgo, Ganondorf in his Tears of the Kingdom Alt and Zombie to represent mummies, and a boss fight against Dark Gaia. Mega Man's run is titled The Robot Masters, fighting a Metal Mega Man and Ivysaur to represent Metal and Woodman, Pit and Bub for Air and Bubble Man, Sonic and Link for Quick and Crash Man, Charizard and Ghost Hunter for Heat and Flash Man, and Dr. Mario for Dr. Wily, with a boss fight against the Stanislav Lem robot once again. Simon's run is entitled Begone Demon, fighting Malamar, the Puppet Master, Ghost, Ganondorf, Medusa, and a boss fight against the Wither. Pac-Man's is another run that carries over from Smash Ultimate, where he fights the oldest characters in the game, being the absolute oldest. Pac-Man faces Donkey Kong and Mario, Cubert, Luigi, Duck Hunt, Little Mac and Excite Biker, and the Ice Climbers Bowser and Toad, with the final boss being Kraid being the oldest of the 10 bosses. Duck Hunt fights characters who could be easily shot down by the Zapper, being King Dedede, Kirby, Ridley, Balloon Fighter, Blathers, and Yveltal as the boss. And the final of the characters whose run carries over somewhat from Smash Ultimate is Steve, being titled Journey to the Dragon, fighting Ivysaur to represent the first thing you need in Minecraft is wood, Steve Zombie Alt for the player's first night, a Blue Emmy to represent diamonds, Charizard to represent the blaze, a horde of tiny Kirbys for the Eyes of Ender, and Yveltal to represent the Ender Dragon. On to the series that have brand new fighters and representation in the game, starting with the Just Dance Dancer. Their run is titled Follow My Movements, fighting Mega Man, who is able to gain the abilities of the Robot Masters, Malamar, who can learn Hypnosis, Tiger, whose family must follow their every movement, Isabelle to represent group stretching in Animal Crossing, and the Puppet Master, who has mind control powers, with the boss being the Queen of Random, who has a puppet shadow as another boss in the game before her fight. Phoenix's run is titled Rescue the Gods, fighting Pit for Hermes, Peach for Aphrodite, Link for Ares, Gorgo for Athena, and King Dedede for Hephaestus, and a final boss of course, Typhon. Bub's run is titled Pionpa, which is the made-up phrase he says at the start of every level, and thus he will fight characters with some form of made-up language, being Isabelle and Blathers, Cubert, Pac-Man, Pikachu, Bob, unless you're playing as him, then Bub, and the boss of Stanislav Lem robot. Balloon Fighters is titled Red and Blue, fighting a combination of red and blue characters who are on a team, but they can damage each other, just as you could in the co-op mode in Balloon Fight, being Cyndaquil and Meryl, Gorgo and Rosalina, 2 Fireboy and Water Girls, Red Yoshi and Mega Man, Mario and Sonic, and a boss fight against King Boo. Cubert's battles are based on the 5 enemies in his game, being Ridley for Coily, Periwinkle Ghost for Wrongway, Nightmare Ganondorf for Ugg, Green Cubert for Sam, Sage Ghost for Slick, and a boss fight against the Queen of Random. Excite Biker's run is titled Racing Champion, facing Sonic, Mario and Rosalina, Ice Climbers, 2 Ghosts, and the Yellow Emmy, with a boss fight against King Boo, all being either fast characters or characters who compete in their game. Cooking Mama's run is titled Collecting Ingredients, fighting Malamar, DK, Duck Hunt, Sage and Plum Ghost Alts, and Kirby, who's a character known for eating. With a boss fight against Dark Gaia, as in Sonic and Lynx, there's many different collectible food items in each region. Even and Dicey will fight characters representing the bosses in Lost and Random. Simon is Royam, Excitebiker is Nanny Fortuna, 2 Lynx Shadows for the Bag Brothers, Nightmare King Dedede for the Queen Shadow, Even and Dicey for Odd, and a boss fight against, of course, the Queen of Random. Gorgos is titled Total Victory, and will fight groups of people that represent the victory types in Civilization 6, starting with Domination Victory, fighting Peach, Zelda, and King Dedede as rulers of other nations. Samus, Rosalina, and Crewmate represent Science Victory, all as spacey characters. Little Mac, Excitebiker, and Pokemon Trainer represent a cultural victory. Pit, Phoenix, and Simon represent a religious victory. And the final fight is a second matchup against Peach, Samus, Little Mac, and Pit to represent a score victory, with a boss fight against the Queen of Random. Ghost Hunter's run is a bit simpler than Gorgos, fighting enemies that represent the evidence types in Phasmophobia. Green Kirby for Dots, Purple Mewtwo for Ultraviolet, White Tiger for Ghost Riding, Ice Climbers for Freezing Temperatures, and a Ghost Horde for EMF, followed by a boss fight against, of course, King Boo. Crewmate's run is titled Evil or Not, fighting 2 Luigis, one in his Mr. L alt, followed by Donkey Kong, King Dedede, Link and Link's Shadow, Silver, and a boss fight against Dark Gaia, as there's also a Light Gaia. The Puppet Master's run is titled Retrieving the Keystones, where he will fight characters to represent the ways that you retrieve each specific keystone. Donkey Kong represents Gerald for the Firefly Gem, 3 Kirbys for the Power Crystals for the Silver Chill Gem, Malamar as the Old One for the Shipwreck Gem, Cooking Mama as Slurpee for the Bonfire Gem, and finally Mario in his Doctor Alt for Eugene, representing the Skywatch Gem, followed by a Dark Gaia boss fight. Fireboy and Water Girl face off against Elemental Warriors, Cyndaquil and Bowser for Fire, Squirtle and Ice Climbers for Water, Kirby and Pit for Air, Excitebiker and the Fab Fairies for Earth, Malamar and Silver for Mind, and Dark Gaia once again as the boss, being named after the goddess of creation. Tiger's run is titled Quadrupedal Killer, facing off against the 4-legged fighters, being Emmy, Pikachu, Cyndaquil, Even and Dicey, Fireboy and Water Girl, and Calamity Ganon as the boss. The Google Doodle Ghost will get a run where each fight is a character that represents the spirit orbs in their doodle, being Blue Kirby, Sonic, Inky Pac-Man, Bob, and Meryl, with a boss fight against King Boo. And the final Classic Mode run is the Mii Fighters, fighting the customizable characters, being Villager, Phoenix, Tiger, Crewmate, and Steve, with the final Classic Mode boss being the Stanislav Lev robot. And there you have it, the final half of the Classic Mode runs for this conceptual Smash Bros. Game. Let me know what you think about these runs, as there's a few I'm not 100% happy with. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!